Bring out Elizabeth Sullivan.
The tortured souls cried out in agony as the flames mounted higher and higher. Burn, witch, burn, witch, burn, burn, burn. Those I've said, it is known today, the actual practice of witchcraft in 17th century New England.
The value of you're anticipating one thing and it ends up being something completely different. That's why I kind of give the first one I mean, I still like the second one a lot, but the first one, because it's this, you know, somewhat older woman, a big surprise, and it's a female killer, you know, I thought that was a big kind of a shocker, you know. You know, obviously at the time,
killer, mommy.
So familiar with
killer.
Yep. There you go.
I love that.
Right.
And but you're right. I mean, Sackhead Jason, we talked about this a couple of times. You know, past episodes, the three of us.
Big
but
fan of the old Sackhead.
Yep, me too.
And then after that, my second favorite sequel after that is the third one. And I just like that just because it's, I mean, it's one of the goofier ones. A lot of people like part 4 better than that. And I understand that's probably my next one, you know, after that. The first 4 are definitely my, you know, my favorites in it. But the third one I like because it's just so fucking wonky. It's just so fucking trippy and weird and just, it's out of place and, you know, very, very funky. And I like that. And I like that.
Sometimes I flip some of these. So part 3 is with that girl who thought she was being raped by Jason, and they go back to the house. It's with the guy who's the nerdy guy with the curly hair.
Yep.
Okay. Shelly. Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, and they do blend together. But I like that. That was the one that was originally in 3D, but kind of now one of the things, because that was like during that 3D resurgence, right? And like the early 80s, like 82, 83, that was when they were getting like, you know, some more of the you know, the 3D coming back to theaters.
Yeah.
Then again, later than that, in like 2009, 10, it came back again. That was and thinking about that right now, I'm surprised they didn't do the 2009 remake, which I guess is in the sequel, of Friday the 13th in 3D. That was right around that time period. I don't know. But part 3 is just so, because now when you see it and it's not in 3D, if you don't watch it in 3D, it's got like all those scenes that you know are supposed to be in 3D, where they got like the clothesline like coming towards the thing and everything, and they act like baseball bat, and it's like right, you know, up against it and everything. But I don't know. I think it's aged both poorly and well from like a funky perspective, and it's just so different, such a different one in the series that I like that about it for a sequel.
Yeah, me too. So then keep with the trend of like the big franchises first. So Nightmare on Elm Street, I skip 2 every time. It's just, for me, it just does not hold any type of interest for me. And I know lately, like, did you see the Scream Queen?
Yeah, I did.
That was actually interesting, but I felt like
I thought it was a good documentary.
It was good, but he was whiny about it. You know, it's like after a while, it's like, oh, you need an apology too, you know, and it's like
a little bit. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I got where he was coming from with it, and he was just trying to get the other people to like understand that, you know, what they'd put him through. But I feel like it's also kind of a sign of it's like that's popular now. You know, a lot of, you know, a lot of that I feel is. This was a good time period for him to kind of jump on that, and I think that it's.
Oh yeah, I mean it is timely, and I found it to be interesting.
I did too. And I'm glad he got some sort of restitution out of it, because he did. You know, they confronted a lot of people, and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, well, at least I do agree. Like, you know, if he felt like he was put upon, like, but they said, and who knows how true it is. You know, we weren't making this movie purposely to kind of pull you out of the closet and insult you. You know, it wasn't done on purpose like that. But anyway, part 3 for me is, you know, the Dream Warriors is probably one of my favorite sequels of all time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, definitely.
My favorite in the series. I might actually like part 3 better than part 1.
I think so too. I mean, I don't know if necessarily it's a popular opinion, but who gives a fuck? I mean,
I think it's a popular opinion that part 3 is the best sequel. But I don't know. I mean, most people I know, but I think that's the best one.
Most people in the circles that we run in, they tend to look at some of these movies, especially, you know, it's got the Dokken soundtrack, and it was a real popular thing. I mean, that was a great single when it came out, and I think it's fun. So I just like the kids in it because they were they were like coming into their own powers and bringing it
Mhm.
back to Freddy. So I think that was interesting, but it was really a cool sequel as sequels go.
I
It
don't even
was.
remember the second one. I
Yeah, the
don't
second one
remember
was
it.
all about they were kind of using the power of love to like kill Freddy, and it was weird. But going back and I watched them all again, maybe like 2 years ago or so. And going back, I actually liked because I had the same opinion as you, Lenny. Like I always would skip over part two. I'm just like, oh, it's not as good as part three, and I still don't
Yeah,
think it is. But I do think it's one of the better sequels. Some of the later sequels really don't hold up for me. I think four was good, like for like half the movie, but then it got too parody. And one of the things that I still liked about two, going back and watching it again, was it was one of the only other ones where Freddy was still menacing to a degree.
yeah.
Mm.
There was a lot of other weird, goofy stuff in there. And going back, the documentary thing. I mean, that's a separate thing, but I think there were definitely a lot of gay overtones in it, and I think I guess what about the documentary that they were saying was that it wasn't they were saying like we wouldn't intended to have like gay overtones, and if you watch the movie, it's got a lot of gay overtones, and they seem
Yes,
pretty intentional. So I think that also pushed
they
people away at
do.
the time when the movie came out,
You,
especially
you
coming out in like what was it 85, 86, something like that,
I thought
probably.
it was a
It
little a
probably
little
pushed more people
earlier.
away.
Like I literally don't remember. Like I saw it when it came out, but I don't remember it at all. I think that the third one kind of just took
It's a
over.
better movie.
Everyone knows Dream Warriors. That's the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
That
Best movie.
I have to rewatch it just to
I
because
think I
I
think two's
don't
solid watching
remember
it
it.
again now, I think I completely agree. Three is the best one. Then
Yeah.
after that, four and five were okay, and then by the time you got
Yeah,
to what six was what Jason Goes to Hell, that was a mess. But it was going back. I also just made on my channel. I made a drink for that with a guy who with another collaborator with Slasher Pepper, and he was talking. He talked to the director from it and everything. Got a little bit more of an idea of where it was coming from. Like they were changing it for the '90s and like trying to rehaul it and give it its own kind of give Freddy like kind of a just a whole do over and everything. And I respect that they were doing something different. Not not really my cup of tea,
yeah. Me
but
neither.
yeah.
Yeah, after a while,
Um,
the kid also another blur with these movies.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
well, it's
They
the
do.
same thing
And
with
that's why I had to go
Halloween.
back
I
and watch them
mean,
all.
and that's what I think would spawn
Yeah.
this conversation was, you know, you have a beloved franchise, or initially you have a movie that even if it's not beloved yet, right? It sparks interest in a character, or like we were talking about, uh, shit, Silent Night, Deadly Night. Like, here's a movie that seemingly, you know, you didn't think much of it, and then all of a sudden it blows up because people come out and say, Santa's sacred, and you're ruining the
Right,
holiday, and you know what I mean. And then that,
right.
says, hey, what? They see dollar signs, so let's make some
The
sequels
backlash to
too.
that got more people looking for it after the
Exactly. It's
aftermarket.
like it had
Yeah,
the
yeah.
opposite effect, and so, but you even
Right.
said, like the sequels are terrible. But it's just a cash grab, and so that's what
Hey,
they're
five was
into.
fun, man. I stick by it. Five was
But
fun.
that's what you're saying. It's like five. I'm like, Jesus Christ! It's
Yeah,
like
there's five. There are five of them.
there's five of them. Like there's 12, I think, or 13 sequels for Children of the Corn.
Wow, that
Really?
many?
Which
Wow,
it's like
Really?
that's a series I did
we
not.
use.
I did not keep up with that
Uh,
series at all.
I didn't either, and it's just a matter of like a cash grab. And Omar and I, we talk about this all the time. It's like we can't get our screenplays. Even with a micro budget, we can't get our screenplay out there. But do you see the dreck that's out there? Like terrible, terrible stuff. I mean, but now you're at Amityville Part 43. Like the Amityville Horror. The first, and here's the thing: like the first few sequels tend to be the best, right? Because they're as close to the source material as possible. Just mentioned, you talk about even just newer films like Sinister, where Sinister was actually really a creepy film, and it had a lot of atmosphere and it was pretty scary. And I enjoyed Sinister itself, but then I saw part 2, and it was an utter waste of time. It was just a complete mess. So, I don't know. It's a difficult thing. It's you try and capture lightning in a bottle twice, and it's tough. Like Jaws 2. Those Jaws sequels, say what you want. Jaws 2 is a fun sequel.
I liked it.
Jaws 2 is a good movie. I like Jaws 2.
I thought it was great.
I thought you were about to go into the other direction with Jaws. I'm just like, we're going to have it out.
Exactly.
I like Jaws 2, man.
2.
I like Jaws.
Jaws 2 is fun. And you know what? Jaws 3 in 3D, we saw that in the theater because it was, 3D was making a comeback in the mid-'80s. And I couldn't wait to see, because I saw Jaws. My parents took me to see Jaws when I was a kid. Not the first round, but when it came back around, they took me to see Jaws in the theater, and I didn't want to take a bath. I didn't take a bath as a kid for the rest of my, until I was an adult again. You know what I mean? It's like I was.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah. Well,
there you go.
Yeah. I had to take sponge baths because I just couldn't get near a tub. Any body of water.
That explains why you're always asking me to give you a sponge bath too.
Come on, man.
Nothing wrong with that.
You promised. That's fucked up.
It always gets fucking weird here.
It's 2021. It's 2021, man. That's nothing wrong
there's
with
nothing
that.
wrong with that. I'm just saying this was supposed to be our thing. Anyway.
Oh, you didn't want me sharing it with the world? All right.
No, I didn't. Oh well.
Last time you wanted me to videotape it. I don't know. All right.
Yeah, but that was just for fun.
Okay.
Omar, do you see what we have to deal with this guy? Sacred with
it's
him.
it's just a mess. I don't know. I feel kind of left out.
So,
we'll talk later, Omar.
We'll jump in. So,
Jaws 2. But Jaws 2. I mean,
Jaws 2. I always feel like it's neglected. It's neglected.
Jaws 2 is the best.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
There's one main problem with Jaws 2. There's only one problem with Jaws 2, and it's just like, the fuck is wrong with everybody else in this town? Like, what the hell is wrong with this mayor? Like, this just happened. And it's just like, there's another shark. Oh, you're fucking crazy.
Well, it was a few years later, and you got to give the mayor a break. And he's trying to, make a profit for the town. He's trying to.
I know, but he went through that whole character arc in the first one. I don't know.
His kids were on that beach too.
That's right.
So I mean,
but
put it out there.
Yeah, no, I love Jaws too, and I think it's
it's funny.
And the majority of it's like well filmed, and
there was an anecdote about that guy, the actor, that his grandkids hated the fact that their grandpa was looked on as like such a piece of shit. Like he was such a wonderful guy. He was this, he was that, and they were like
in real life,
in real life, he was such a nice guy.
I see. Okay, the mayor guy. Okay, yeah.
Larry Vaughn. I think.
I got you. Yeah.
But his actual grandkids were always talking about they were interviewed or whatever, and they said like he was such a great guy, but everyone thinks he's a scumbag.
Yeah, and every nerd is like, fuck him.
So, yeah, you're right.
You're killing children.
Jaws 2 is overlooked, but in the way that Jaws 4 needs to be overlooked. Because that's one of the with a growling shark. I mean,
yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yep. I think they used like the same audio from some King Kong movie. I think those are the 76 King Kong movie, like that same sound.
Fucking terrible.
Horrible. And then it comes back and like it remembers, like as it's a fish. It's a fish. Oh my God.
It's the spirit of vengeance.
You know what? I still think it's better than 3 though, honestly. I think 4 is better than 3.
No, watch it again, dude. I watched them.
I think I don't want to put it this way. I don't think it's better. I think there's more entertainment value in it. I'm just going to put it that way.
It's not.
So
I
remember
3D shark. I mean, you have who is it? Dennis Quaid. You have Lou Gossett Jr. And I forget there was somebody. Who else is in this movie?
I don't remember the cast.
Can I also make this point that no one who was in any of the Jaws sequels wanted to fucking be in them? It's like a well-known fact. Like Michael Caine in part 4 is like, this is bullshit. I don't even want to be in this. He's just like, he did some sort of interview and he's just like, oh, but it paid for this house, so I'm happy.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the only person that was in it forgot her name. You guys will know. For Ellen Brody. She was the only one who was in all 4 of them, and I think wanted to be on all 4 of them.
Yeah.
But beside that, like,
yeah,
even
because
in the
what else
second one,
is she doing, right?
right? Yeah. I mean, Brody didn't want to be in the second one. He's like, I played Brody. I'm good. And I forgot what obligations they had to, drag him back with. But
really?
But yeah. Yeah, that was like check that out sometime. Nobody wanted to be in any of those.
Wow.
So like I said, for my money, it's part 2.
Definitely.
And then, part 3 and 4, there's a place in my heart for them because I love them. I grew up on those.
Yeah,
But,
me same here. But so they have nostalgia, which is, an obvious ploy to get people to come to the box office, which what drags people back, which is the purpose of a sequel. I mean, it's only to cash in on what has gone by. So that brings us full circle. And we talk about the stuff like, you could talk about Halloween or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or, 28 Days Later. You can bring up this subject from, insert the franchise here. It's a rare occurrence where you watch the sequel and you're like, they nailed it. They did a great job, and the sequel is interesting.
Right. I would argue the same thing for remakes as well. And I know remakes will be another topic, I guess. But,
remakes will have to be another topic because, the greatest remake of all time is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Here he goes.
And
he makes sure to get that in every episode.
Every episode. It's like, if you listen to the movies that made me, Mandy finds its way into every episode. I will worm John Carpenter's The Thing into every single episode. But man, I mean, it's great, like though. Those are the remakes are definitely something we should talk about. But
so can you guys think of, because I'm having a hard time off the top of my head, and I'm gonna think about this as we talk. I guess I didn't come into this prepared. But can you think of a sequel that was, I don't want to say necessary, but either necessary or felt that it really added something? Can you guys think of anything in the horror?
Here's a sequel that I think it's one of the best and greatest sequels of all time. And it is light years beyond the original. And the original is a beloved classic. Is George Romero's Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, okay. I was thinking something else.
Dawn of the Dead.
I was thinking something else too.
Okay, well, because I want to hear what you guys were thinking. So, and I'm sure, and there are others, and I know that, and we can probably touch on that too. But George Romero's Dawn of the Dead for me is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Oh, for me, I mean, I think we've talked about it about 100 times, Lenny. I mean, that's one of the best movies. One of my top movies. On a Saturday, it might be my top movie. On a Sunday, it might be Exorcist or Jaws, but they always rotate between those.
Yeah, and so where it's always, always the thing for me is always the top. But there's always like that moment in time where I'm like, God damn it, this movie is just fucking brilliant.
Oh, it is.
And there are 5 separate cuts of this movie. And so if you ever get a chance to watch the extended mall hours version of George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, it's not his cut. It was a fan cut, and it's like the theatrical, the Argento European cut, the extended director's cut. It's like
I've seen those 3.
Yeah, and so every scene that was ever cut from that movie, the extended mall hours version, is put back into it.
So there's more footage than what's in the director's cut?
Yeah, it's like other little pieces that were taken out. Everything is reincorporated back into the movie. Then
the I forgot what it was called, but whatever the 2 hours and 20-minute one.
Yeah, this one is like 2.5 hours. I think it's over 2.5 hours.
That sounds fucking sexy. Is what that sounds.
It's sexy as fuck. And let me tell you, I was like, extended more hours because I don't really get into like fan cuts of movies.
No, me neither.
I don't like that.
Now I have questions. Like, where did that footage come from? I had heard something about that before, but I thought it was more of a bullshit thing.
It's not. So this was actually, and if you go onto YouTube, you can find it on YouTube. Extended mall hours cut. And I like.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
So, and then obviously Day of the Dead. So two sequels that I absolutely love.
So now I'm going to go ahead and say, because I would absolutely agree that if we're considering, I'm just like, is it a sequel? Is it truly a sequel?
Yes. So Dawn and Day are in the same universe
because it's the same universe
and take place
in the same
timeline.
timeline.
And so it furthers the timeline and story.
Succinctly, okay.
And it's night, dawn, and day, which are also part of that.
And I agree. I mean, I agree that to me it's a loose sequel because that's how I always have felt about it. But I feel the same way in terms of it's one of the if that's what we're considering a sequel, then I completely agree that that's probably my favorite sequel then. And that's and in that sense, I think you're right that I was just taking that out of the equation. And I don't know why, because it is one of my favorite movies, obviously, but I was taking it out of the equation, I think, because there's no characters that overlap. There's no stories of characters that overlap. There's nobody who identifies anything from the first movie. There's nobody, but you're right.
Continuity.
There's no continuity in any way. And that's not uncommon for a sequel, but like usually there's like a link to like the other, and there's none of that. But you're right in that it's the same universe and a timeline. Sure.
The dead are, they are the link to this. I mean, that's the overarching, and that really, and I hate even thinking this, but at times, especially in subsequent sequels from that trilogy, the dead supersede the human beings in the story.
How so? What do you think?
Well, because the gags take the full center stage, especially in like Diary of the Dead.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you meant the original trilogy. Okay.
No, not in the original trilogy, but in the subsequent trilogy. The second trilogy, which starts with Land of the Dead. It's almost to the point where George would rather the zombies be, the all important thing. And I think that sentiment started with Day of the Dead, the original screenplay. Where the dead had it had more of a huge role to play in the films. But regardless, any of that stuff.
Okay. All right. I mean, here's. Why don't you go ahead first, Omar? What did you think he was going to say? Because I have one in mind that immediately popped into mind when you said a cult classic, or just classic in general, cult classic that has a sequel that in some ways supersedes the original and furthers the story. And okay, so that's what I was thinking. So what do you think, Omar?
I was thinking Alien and Aliens.
Yeah,
because
that's not what I was thinking either.
Your favorite movie is Aliens.
Yeah, it is. It's
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge. That's actually my favorite Cameron film is the second Aliens movie.
Fantastic movie.
And I think it was necessary because it really, delved into Ripley's character.
Okay.
Of her, I actually prefer the cinema cut. I think that the director's cut it added too much that for me is too much fat. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessary. I think that the cinema version is a lot leaner, and that there were just so many parts that were very unnecessary, like where they have Newt's family and going and exploring the alien craft.
I like that. I like the additional scenes that were put in. It's not as taut of a screenplay.
Right.
And if you look at it from a screenplay perspective, the writing is so much. You're right. It's a lot leaner, and the action, is more, forward.
Right.
But I like, there's the sentimental side of viewing this type of stuff. I like seeing the story play out, and seeing the Newt's family. Her loss becomes more acute. And it's you already feel sad that this little girl experienced this, but when you see her interacting with her brother and the family, it makes it a little bit more interesting for me. So I do like the extended version better.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, like I remember, I don't remember the difference. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. The last time I saw the movie, I have it on DVD, and I watched it a couple of years ago, and I'm not sure if it was the extended or the theatrical. I'm going to imagine it's the extended because it was pretty long. How much longer is the extended versus the theatrical? Is it one of? It was one of those ones that had a decent chunk more. Or?
Yeah, it was like 15 minutes
It's like,
more.
yeah,
Or something.
That's a big
something
amount.
like that.
That's
Yeah.
a big amount.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
it was considerable. So
Yeah, and I mean, I love that movie. Yeah,
it's perfect. I love it too.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just, for me, it's the first one because it's more straight horror, and that's what I liked about that. But I
Right.
mean, in terms of sequels, just something existing and changing the original format and still being something that stands up, which is hard because usually when you do that, that switch in genre, it doesn't stand up, right? Because you had that, like the cat and mouse kind of thing in the first one, and then you go to like almost like full action sci-fi.
Right.
But the world overlaps and it expands on everything that happened in the first, and all of the facts remain relatable to it. And I think that that's something that's usually lost because usually when you're making that kind of a switch, when you're you're shifting the genre in some way, you lose a lot of the story. And I think that, and a large portion of that, was from Ridley, and, the character of Ridley, I think really obviously tied that together.
Ripley.
Well, I'm sorry. I played Metroid recently.
Oh man, I'm jealous.
Yeah, well, you can play it. It exists.
I know. I haven't played Metroid in so long. I got to fire up my GameCube.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking Metroid Prime. Okay.
Yeah, I love that game.
Super Metroid was what I was playing most recently.
All right, so let's not digress because
That's
I
true.
don't want a long episode because we were just
You're
talking about kind of being as succinct as possible.
Right.
So you,
This guy just wants to get a grab something to eat.
What were you thinking?
Yeah, your dad's gonna kill you if you don't come up with a chicken sandwich soon.
I know exactly. I gotta go shopping.
You're gonna be in fucking trouble. All right, so yeah, what I was thinking when you said that was Hellraiser 2.
Okay.
Hellraiser 2. In that Hellraiser
2 is better than part 1?
I don't know about better than part 1, but I think it expands on. Okay, well, let me put it this way: the story gets weirder. The story was weird to begin with in Hellraiser, and it didn't make a lot of sense. And what made Hellraiser was the first one, I think, was the whole thing of their being this other world and these Cenobites, but you didn't really know anything about the Cenobites, and you didn't really know anything about the character and where they were coming from. And when it expanded on that story, I felt more in the second one. And also, I just feel that the second one is visually just outstanding, visually outstanding. So when I watch Hellraiser, I watch it more for a feeling than for story, because the first one, in my opinion, as much as people say it's fantastic, and this also, I also share this opinion about Phantasm and the Phantasm series similarly, is that it doesn't make a fucking lick of sense. If you're just watching the first movie, they don't really make a ton of sense. And actually, as the sequels go on, a little bit more in Hellraiser, the first couple Hellraisers at least, you learn more about this universe that's already been thought up. Now, admittedly, after that, I think I saw part of part 3, and I don't think I've seen like any of the other ones, but I've never had really any inclination to either. So take that for what you will.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I just feel like that's one that's a fantastic sequel.
Yeah, I like 2. 3 is where it starts to fall off for me, and then after 4. I don't think I really tuned in after that.
I didn't keep up. I didn't feel like keeping up. The same thing we were saying about like Children of the Corn. Same thing kind of kicked in for me.
To say something controversial, I wasn't really a big fan of any of the Hellraiser movies.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
You need to go back and at least watch part 1.
I did. I just felt that I just didn't care about the characters. Like I'm really, I love good characters, and I just didn't care about them. They could have died. It didn't make a difference to me.
Psycho Gorman was a good character.
Oh, come on. That was a goofy movie. That was a goofy movie.
Come on, man.
Here we go.
It's a whole different game, man. I can't wait for the Psycho Gorman sequel.
Oh no!
Christ.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I can wait. Tell me how it is.
Better yet, don't tell me how it is.
I'm gonna force you guys to watch it.
and then the other thing that you mentioned already, Phantasm. I love that series. The sequels after part 3 are a little wonky, and that's because of budgetary issues, but I just love the characters. From the first time I saw that show, that movie, the first movie, I always felt like I was in a nightmare, and it was creepy and weird. They had great sci-fi elements. The sequels I enjoyed because they kept with that myth and they kept the same characters. Well, except for part 2, but that was kind of out of his control. But I like the fact that they stuck with it and it was like a family for them, and it was more about the friendship. They kept the same story and the same characters throughout all those years. It's like 30 some odd years of sequels. And I love that they just continued the story as weird as it got. And even in the last one with the CGI was really wonky, and I just wanted to see more of the Tall Man. And I don't know, they kind of, some parts, like I said, it drifted away, but the first 3 Phantasm movies I love.
Yeah, no, they're good movies, no doubt about it. I do like the first one. Just I think I've seen it the most, and I like the setup of it. You don't know what's going on, and I do think that is a good reason for the sequels to kind of exist and expand on that. So I'll give it that. But when I turn the other ones on now, and again, a lot of it just comes back to nostalgia. Like I'm always just like, oh, first one, I remember this from the first one and stuff. So I don't know, but yeah, no, you're right though. I agree. I think 2 and 3. Good solid movies.
Yeah.
So do we want to do like maybe more obscure movies a different time, like a different one to break it up?
We could continue this conversation. I mean, there's so much out there. There's so many sequels, good and bad. We could definitely revisit this. So it's definitely a fun conversation because I'm glad I was able to stump you guys with that Dawn of the Dead.
So this episode,
I'm interested.
This episode is going to have a sequel.
Oh shit!
You think about that.
Intentional.
You think about that. You think about that.
We are just meta as fuck over here. That's just
Oh.
See that?
Sorry guys. Sorry to get all millennial on you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's good.
So there you have it, folks. Sequels. Let us know what you think. I'm sure you have your favorites. And
comment and subscribe below.
Yeah, please do. And check out our buddy Rob's channel, Terror at Synth High on YouTube. Don't hold it against him that he's on YouTube and not only podcasting. So
yeah, no, it's just it's a narcissistic thing, I think.
It is.
You gotta see. I take my shirt off a lot.
He does. That's it. I tend to pause those parts of the video.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They don't wear out like VHS too, so more reason to go on over to YouTube, I guess, right?
Digital's the way to go, folks.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, we love having you on here, man. We could do this all day long, and
I love you. I love being here. So
it's part of the family.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon.
Later.
Bye.